Power Group. Let's see, here's some things to point out. So an annual meeting, if we feel, an annual meeting would be where the different holders, positions would be elected on a yearly basis. We have that as every May, the second Tuesday of each May. Something else to bring to everyone's attention is that meetings are on a monthly basis. The document just kind of spells out what's expected of the board, what's expected of the various positions in the board. And if anybody has any comments or suggestions, appreciate that, entertain those.
There is no, at least when I looked through it at first, I might have missed it, but like a term of service for board members.
Okay.
I thought we talked about that last time, but I don't recall, and I don't think if we did establish it, it's not noted, and I think that should probably be added.
Okay. Certainly, we can add that to the board, and if I recall, I think it was for a 4-year term.
I thought it was 3 to 4, yeah. I thought it was.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be.
I think 3 sounds good.
And I do feel like the trustees had a thought on that, or maybe they were the ones that proposed the 4-year.
I think it was maybe a year
The
for us,
trustees
and
had
then 3
a
years,
thought on
maybe.
that, or maybe
3
they
sounds
were the
familiar.
ones that proposed the 4-year. Okay. Well, it can be what we want it to be. So that sounds, that sounds good. I
Yeah,
can make that notation in
Add it
here.
as
and-
3-year term of service, and
Yep.
I don't know if we want to make that appointed by the trustees or appointed by
Committee?
somebody else. I mean, we initially are all appointed by the trustees. I think that, just to note that in there, that the term is 3 years as appointed by the trustees.
Yep.
Can do that. Does anybody else have any comments, suggestions? And, okay, very good.
Who's the recorder?
Sorry?
She's always the recorder? Okay, thanks. Just
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good meeting.
Okay, I guess besides that edit, I guess they're approved.
Well, you can take a vote on those with that edit and just accept those as with considering that consideration, so you have bylaws.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I second it.
Okay, very good.
Sounds good to
All in
me.
favor?
Yep. Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. I should ask anybody opposed? Okay.
Okay, new business, I guess. What were our thoughts on the RFP? Or, we have a few options. A few of us talked with Matt Latham at Metro Parks of Butler County, that was 2 weeks ago. And he laid out ideas for what he usually does. So he'll do like a concept plan and then take that and go to the general public and get their ideas and then come up with a preliminary estimate. And Amy just gave me an estimate for a trail, so that's awesome. So I'll review that. And there are other options for funding too that I found out through Matt, as well as just basic search. There's a land and water conservation grant through ODOT OB&R, but as Matt told me, it's a very lengthy process. You need a full park master plan, and we don't necessarily need that for some grants or to get this started. You just need some kind of a plan. And I talked to Miami, and a few people are interested, but I don't have anything definite. I heard from a different professor at a different campus that I've never worked with before that he might be able to help. So I'll hopefully talk to him next week, and fingers crossed I'll have somebody that can do like official planning, or at least get the concept plan together for us before the Strawberry Festival. So that's about it overall. I feel like that's a lot though. If anybody has any questions about that.
So what is the concept plan going to show?
It's just pretty basic. It's basically what he gave us initially.
Our hand-drawn
Jeff's
map.
map.
This one?
Yeah, it's basically that. Matt actually made that.
Okay.
I have that somewhere.
I don't think
I
that
got
was
it
on
for us.
days.
Yeah, so that's basically what it is. And then we'll take that and go to like an engineering firm and get a full estimate. Or we can do the RFPs, which they basically do all of that work for us. So that's the difference basically, is how we want to go through it.
What are the benefits and drawbacks to each?
That's a good question. I'm very new to this and I don't really know, honestly. My thought is if through the RFPs, they do all of the work for us, so we don't have to do as much. If we do the concept plan through, like Matt advises, like they would, you talk to an engineer, they do the plan, and then we take it back to the public and they go through it. And then we like keep going back and forth and figure out which way we're gonna go with it.
Okay.
At least that's my understanding. Somebody else may have more
Is-
Now,
ideas about
the
that.
concept, or the preliminary plan, which is what we discussed last meeting, I did get a preliminary estimate price from the company that I work for. And their preliminary price was $4,500, and that would show all the phases on it.
Awesome.
So, I don't know we've worked with Metro Parks and we've worked with Matt, but usually they pretty much send out the RFPs and they go from there,
Awesome. That sounds really good to me.
so.
So this is 4,500 for
For
all
the
of-
preliminary plan that shows all the phases, which is probably what we're gonna have to send out for
Yep.
bids and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Matt was saying it was usually at least $10,000 to maybe $20,000 for that.
That's probably for the more of the design work after the preliminary plan.
That makes sense too. I think that's reasonable, but I have to talk to the trustees and go through all that, but
Yeah, you'll probably have to send that out, even that bid out for an RFP too.
yeah.
But if that's how you decide to go, I can take that back to them. It's just however you all decide.
Yeah.
If you have free labor or otherwise, but once you get 'em, you gotta get input and figure out what you're gonna do first, so I think we have time, but.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I wasn't saying we had to hire a company, I'm just saying that would be a preliminary number. Honestly, obviously, we'd have to take it and get other bids from
Yep.
other people,
Yep.
so.
I think that makes sense. Like if we went through Miami, we'd still have to get it stamped off and everything through a,
Through an engineering, an engineer would probably, or a land planner.
Yep.
Something like a
yeah,
stamp.
precisely.
Sandy, I'm a little confused. You were talking about the RFP and letting each person that was bidding do the planning. Aren't we going to have a bunch of different things if we do that? I thought we talked about it at the last meeting. We have to have something concrete for people to bid on.
Yeah, we do. There's a few options with that, and that was what I discussed with Jeff Kolb too. Like it makes sense to me to have more of like a background phasing and everything involved ahead of time. But it's just if we can get somebody to help with all of that, or
Sure.
go through like Miami or an engineering firm ahead of time, or if we want to just like use this like as a guideline. And my thought was like an engineering firm could help us narrow that down a little bit more. Because basically, like, your trail would be the first phase, maybe
Does
the.
it have to be?
It doesn't have to be, but it seems to be like what Jeff Kolb was leaning toward was a trail for the first phase. And playgrounds, from my understanding, talking to Matt, are
Very,
probably at least 100,000 for like a
Expensive?
small
Right.
one. And like the pavement and everything's like 60,000, and like the equipment's 40,000 for like a
Yeah.
small one he was working on. So that was, I figured that'd be like a phase 2 or something. And, because I feel like that's pretty needed, and then shelters and everything, maybe
right,
like
that's
phase
what I was
3 or
wondering, like, maybe
something.
it is cheaper to do shelters first, or, I didn't know, I didn't, you know. we
I
had
think that
bus
should be
stations.
up to the community when we talk
Right.
to people at the
Yeah.
Strawberry
It's just-
Festival, if they want shelters first.
Right. Because if
You
you're,
know.
you want to see if they're going to
That's
use it.
true.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you don't want to build something and nobody comes, right? So.
Yeah, that's what
I mean,
Matt
what-
was saying
what-
too,
yeah.
because like initially they said maybe fields, and they were saying there's several fields around here that aren't even used, so that might
Yeah.
be a,
Yeah.
not the best use of the property.
Where does the Strawberry Festival
Yeah,
fit into
it's-
this?
I know, I didn't know about that either. I was going to ask the same
confused where that
question.
came in
Are we
from.
going
It's
to have like
just-
a booth or something, or?
Yeah, we'll have a booth
didn't know
there.
that. Okay.
It's very just thrown in there. I just
But
figured
that's
it's
good. Okay.
summertime,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
local event, and
Easy.
just
It's
to
a great
get
idea.
some feedback.
No, good idea.
Just to get things rolling, because if we decide to go for a grant, for instance, like the Land and Water Conservation Fund, it's due in November, so that'd be like very rushed, which I don't know if anybody could really fully help us get like a plan together for that. That was my initial thing too, because that's,
Yeah.
when I was in grad school, that's what we did. Like, you had go to as many different events as you can and get public input, and you take that and go back and keep updating your plan.
I think we never established like a timeline, like what the trustees have realistically, because when we first met, they were talking about sending out an RFP, like, you know, this week.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask for thoughts on
and
that,
I
just
think-
if we should
I think-
dismiss it or do something else.
Yeah, I think we need to establish what their ideal timeline is.
Yep.
And then what a realistic timeline for getting surveys are. And, you know, we can, Strawberry Festival, I think, is a great idea of a way to collect public, you know, what the public wants. But without having a timeline to say like, okay, we need to have a plan, and like, we need to have something sketched out on paper by July, or, you know,
Well,
like we're good until November. I know there's a timeline with the money
you
specifically.
got, don't let the money doesn't have to be obligated till 2024.
Okay,
With a,
perfect.
with a, with this, by obligated by 24 and paid out by 26.
Okay,
So that's not an
Right.
issue. The issue is, you know, they would all like it tomorrow, but
Right.
it has, and they told you all in the interviews, they want it thought out. So you guys gotta decide your, you know, your timeline is what you need to do to come up with a comprehensive plan and figure this out. If you talk to one trustee, they probably tell you tomorrow, but you can't, it's not realistic.
right.
Because you're gonna meet in June and get some input, and then as we just, you know, my thought was, there's an open house at the fire department in September, and you all could present to the, because you get a couple thousand people there usually, you could present what you guys have worked on to them and get, you know, and that's your, you know, that, see what the public thinks. But, you know,
Right.
the timeline for the money, there's no issue with it. It's not burning a hole in the township's pocket that it
Yeah.
has to get spent anytime soon.
Which that's what I was just kind of getting at, is like, what do we have to work with, and what's the timeline where we would need to say like, all right, dollars have to be allocated or spent, so we know 24 is going to have to be allocated, 26 is going to have to be spent, so we have plenty of time to figure out what we want to do. I think it's just figuring out what the community wants to do, and, you know, us as representatives of them.
My name is Dale Marshall. and I'm
Address,
the
please. Address, please.
2289 Chapel Road.
Thank you.
I'm the zoning administrator. And I've been working with land use, of course, and everything else. And we have the program called Survey Monkey, if you would want to use it, okay? I'll offer it. And we can get it out. That will get you some, across the board. We can put it on Facebook, we can put it on Nextdoor, we can email it out to a list that I have already too as well. So I'd be glad to help you with that, all right?
Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we're in this together, right? And I fully support. There is one other thing I'd like you to also consider as you move along from the zoning perspective, and that is ample parking, okay?
Okay.
Okay. It is probably the only thing zoning would be concerned about in terms of the rest of that, okay?
Which I think I mentioned that last time, like, we have this park, where are you gonna park all these people?
Exactly.
There's a draft on here, like above the playground area. I think I counted that maybe like 30 parking spots. But we'll have to figure out about how many.
Yeah, because the overflow could come down through here and everything else, and people could work, but initially, just somebody driving up, and maybe you have a party of 6 or so in one of the shelters, and you've got 6 cars, so,
Yep.
just making sure you have enough, all right? And everything else, so, but that's what I offer for you. And the Survey Monkeys, real quick, you can have results back in days, really, and everything else too, okay? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
I'd kind of like to piggyback off of what Jake said. The timeline is up to us as the park board. We just go to the trustees when we want their approval for something, but they're not the ones guiding this project, we are. And so the timeline is what we feel is appropriate to get things done in a timely manner, but also get it done so it's what our community wants, not what one individual wants.
Yep.
Right.
I agree. That's why as soon as I learned about this and my role in this, I went to Miami because I went through, you have to go through a professional service project, and that's what I did. We planned a park. And you have to get on it as soon as you can because we might be able to do this in fall and take it on, so I'll keep asking them too. And then that's a year-long project, so we'd have a final, like, park master plan hypothetically next May. So that was, I guess, my personal plan.
And I think
but-
that sounds realistic.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent resource that we can use. I know when I was in college, I did one of those for a fire department down in Kentucky, and it went with it, and for them it was a big resource, and for us to have the same resources, phenomenal. And definitely to get somebody like that involved with it is great, and that gives us more of a timeline to know, like, May of '23 we'll have a concrete, like, just shovels in the ground kind of plan.
Yeah, hopefully. And my thought too, if fingers crossed, I can get someone in the GIS department or planning department,
Yeah.
geographic information systems. If I can get someone to help with that this summer, maybe we can at least get some kind of preliminary plan together and then, or concept plan using Matt's terms together, and we'll just keep adding to the data as we go instead of having to keep changing things. And it's data that like any engineering firm can use too. Once you get all of the information together, and just hand it off.
But some of that GIS, you can just get on butlercounty.org and get that information.
You can, but unless you have the software, you can't really do much with it. That's like, when we were walking with it, we had an issue with trying to explain to the public the elevation and how it changes here, because somebody might be thinking, I forget what we were saying, somebody might want something that was super flat, maybe it was pickleball or something, but the elevation changes a lot here.
Okay.
And I couldn't really find that, so I kind of tossed something together when I finally found contour lines, just to show it, which is insane. But yeah, everything else you can find through a lot of different resources, honestly, but I just can't download it. And
Yeah, you can't manipulate it. And
Yeah.
Let's see.
Big
You
difference.
almost need like a grading
Software
plan
and
or
a web
something.
tool.
Yeah, and it's very expensive software.
Sandy, if you would call the Butler County Engineer's Office, because they run a Butler County tax map, if you've seen the software, they will do contour, they will do terrain maps for you,
Okay,
all right?
okay, I can get that taken care of. Awesome, thank you. All right, already gone through several of these things. So concept plan we'll just work on throughout the summer. And hopefully hear from Miami. I'll review all of this and get that
Did Miami give you an
dispersed.
idea when you'll hear from them?
Next, I think he said May 17th, he's free. And I'll keep after my professor at the Institute for the Environment and Sustainability, and hopefully, again, fingers crossed, I won't know until probably August if we would be a professional service project. But if we are, they'll pretty much do all of this for us.
That'd be nice.
But I figured in the meantime, we could try to get some kind of map together and public input, because I need that
Yeah.
regardless.
Well, one of the first things, should we maybe get some input from the community? You know, what do they really want? What would they like to see first?
Yep. Yep, and we drafted a survey, which I think is,
It's in your package.
yep, it's in
Yeah.
your packet. So just look over that and see what you think about it. A lot of things can change.
So thanks for drafting this. I had the benefit of seeing it already, looking over it, and I shared some comments with you. And I'll just share the general thoughts that I had. I feel like the more succinct this is, the better. I mean, we obviously want to ask some questions, but I think, you know, we don't want to ask too many to the point where we lose interest. I had some other notes here too, and these are all really good questions. That was basically my biggest thought. I think when I first talked to you, there were 17 questions. I don't know.
I think
That's
there's
been-
less.
Okay, there's less now. That's good. So, but I, you know, appreciate you taking the time to think about these and.
So this survey here, is this what we're gonna shoot out by emails or is this what we're gonna try to hand out at the Strawberry Festival to get people to?
This was just an initial survey, was my thought, and then we'll take this and create simplified questions.
And I think instead
ask.
of handing out a paper survey at the Strawberry Festival, maybe we could provide them the link to the survey, you know, save paper that way. You know, say, hey, you know, we'd love to have your input on this. Could you, here's the link. Could you maybe take a few minutes and answer our questions and help us
We
with
can put it on
this?
SurveyMonkey. Gail, you can put their questions on SurveyMonkey for us. Okay. And that would create a link.
I mean, if this is what you want, or you decide, I can work on it.
Okay.
And I, you know, I guess,
Okay, sounds good.
do we,
Awesome.
And then we can put it on the Facebook page. We can blow it out that way too. I have a lot of followers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy enough, and then festival, you can make like a QR code,
Yep.
scannable, and then just
Great.
right on your phone.
fantastic.
Right.
And just be done with it. I mean, that's easy enough, and then obviously, like, you get interpersonal communication between people who are there and want to give feedback and just
Yep.
jot that on notes, but say, hey, just fill this out anyway. You can cover all your bases there.
My only thought is, you've got demographics up front, and I really think they should go to the end.
Okay.
That would be the only change I would make.
Okay.
Whatever you guys decide, the questions that you want for this.
Okay.
Jeff, can we get it on the Morgan Township website also?
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy.
Or
There's
put
a
it
lot
on
of people,
Crosstalk
there
or
are a lot of
Yeah.
people that aren't on Facebook.
Now, that's a link that comes out of Survey Monkey, that's easy right there.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. That's no big deal.
So to your question about timeline, I feel like, public input is very much at the forefront.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Sandy recognized that right off the bat. She's done some great work getting us a spot at the Strawberry Festival, drafting this survey. But if anybody else has ideas or thoughts as far as getting public input, please let us know. Or,
One thought I had is maybe like put a poster up some places, just a little flyer, a little notice.
okay.
We've got a park board, put it down at the Quick Stop in Okean, Baker's Hardware,
QR code
areas
on
that are
there.
local.
Yep.
And not to have questions on it, but maybe we've got the survey going, have the link on there.
Yes. The
Because,
QR code.
and there's
Yeah.
people that won't have interest in going to a link, but they might be having interest to come to a meeting.
Yeah, yeah, good idea.
So, you put when your meetings are held, and, are you a Morgantown resident? You want to come to a meeting?
Chief, is there a way we can develop also a email like parks@morgantownship.com just to for general
You
questions?
ha-
That
you-
way one person isn't getting bombed.
You,
So
you have
we-
one. It's Parks at Mor, I did on the Morgan,
What-
Town-
yeah.
I did on the fire department one. It's
Okay.
Parks at Morgan, TWPFD.org.
Wait a minute.
So you did make,
Parks
there is
at
one?
what?
Well, yeah, you're all in it. I mean, but if somebody sends it, you're all gonna see it. If somebody sends an email to parks@morgan, TWPFD.org, you're all gonna see it. Because you're all members of it.
Okay.
Parks, can you, what was
At
that?
Morgan.
Parks at Morgan, TWPFD.org. That's your mail group.
Thank you.
Thank you.
TWP,
FD, it's Morgan
Fire
Township
Department.
Fire
Fire
Department.org. So
FD.
TWPFD.org.
Foxtrot Delta.
Okay, thank you.
Can't make it, it's all gonna change because we're migrating our email, but we'll deal with that later, July. I don't know what to do about that. but Our free Google is over, so we have to find a new email.
do we want to talk about Strawberry Festival?
Yeah. What do we
About,
want to do there?
So you've talked with who and what have you got set up? You've got a booth set up for us there?
We just have a booth so far to my knowledge.
Okay.
I think it's supposed to be at the church
Okay.
or at is it fire department across the street?
Is it at the church?
Church, I don't know.
I
I
don't,
haven't.
one of the trustees felt at the last meeting that it would be better that it wasn't at the fire department for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know. It was feedback. I'm the liaison, I'm just liaison, but anyway. So if it could be at the church, that's fine. If it's near the fire department, that's fine too, but.
So is it an actual booth, like space, tent? Just
His
a
table,
just
so
a
we can do
table?
handouts or
Okay.
pictures of this, maybe.
So is it,
Yeah.
is it, is it covered? Do you know?
I don't think.
But we can bring our own cover if we'd
Yeah,
like?
Yeah.
Okay, all
And,
right.
and trustee Brucker had said that if you want big maps or whatever, he would use a township credit card to produce those. I just need to get them to him in a timely manner.
So on something substantial
Yeah,
like those
great.
back there?
He said,
That'd be nice.
have at
Okay,
it. So if you
yeah,
Can we
have
do
it set up,
one?
I'll just give you the credit card and you can just buy it. And as long as I get a receipt to give him back, it's fine.
okay,
But he had no problem, and nor did the other trustees, with funding that. And
okay,
if you need a box to put surveys in, and got no problem funding that. So whatever you guys come up with, we'll pay for. It's not a big deal.
okay,
Okay.
great. So we have a physical booth there, and I guess it would be good to have it staffed by people.
Yeah.
The Strawberry Festival goes, what, from,
Hold on, I'll look it up.
I think it's 10 to 5. I think. I wrote it somewhere.
It is
Yep, 10 to 5.
10 to 5.
Okay.
June 11th.
Okay, 10-5. So I've marked that day off on my work calendar, so I'm planning to be available for that, so I can be there at that, to
Yeah.
man that booth.
Okay, I was planning to be there too.
Okay.
I do have a canopy and other things already if needed,
Okay.
or if somebody else wants to do that, you're welcome. And chairs, but I only have 2.
If anybody else is willing to spend some time there, okay,
I
great.
can volunteer
I
the
can
Green
volunteer.
Township Firefighters Association rentable tables and chairs for free if anybody really wants a bunch of chairs.
Okay.
Totally can just load them up in my truck and bring them. Totally fine. But that's 8 hours. I count 8 people. If
Right.
everybody took an hour, we'd have it covered. And that way 2 people don't have to be there forever.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we want to send out a little like
Is that
sign up link. I mean,
Yeah.
There's only 8 of us. It's easy enough to say like
I
I'll
can
take
send that out.
noon to 1
Yeah.
or whatever.
Right. Yeah, divide it up. I can help, as long as I'm in town.
Well, you're in town now. You're on this committee.
We talked about at one point, it would be a good idea to have 2 people there
Yeah.
manning the booth at all times,
Yeah.
just to keep, traffic flowing and everything.
So, 4 2-hour shifts.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's fine.
That sounds realistic.
Fun, I've never been to the Strawberry Festival.
Oh, it's
haven't
been
either.
canceled for 2 years.
I've lived here for 26 years.
I'll bring them up.
It's fun.
There you go.
You can get strawberry
That'll get a
shortcake.
lot of
Yeah.
people in.
Oh,
Sounds
yeah.
great.
Yeah. Kissing booth. Have a puppy dog kissing booth.
So this booth would just be to get the public's opinion of what they would like to see.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll have some kind of a map together, maybe even some ideas about playgrounds or something. I don't know. We can discuss what imagery we might want just to show people.
Do you have a meeting before this?
That's
next
what I
month?
was wondering too.
It's actually
just
not, it's
to-
after.
Is it? Okay. That's what we're meeting
I was
now.
going to
So we need to
suggest
do that.
an
ma-
extra meeting, but I was
Do
gonna
we
bring
do
it
like
up.
a workshop
I was
or
going to bring it up
something?
at the end of the meeting,
Okay.
having an additional meeting between now and
Yeah.
then, but
Okay.
we can
That's
get
a
to
good
that at
idea.
the end.
Yep, agreed.
I have a question though. Whose idea was it for this park?
So, you want the history?
Yeah, sure.
I'm just curious.
Maybe,
Settle
ma-
in.
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe Cliff
A
Notes
short
would be
version.
fine.
How's
Yeah,
that?
Yeah.
Very short version.
Can I?
No?
Yeah. So, as you know, the American Rescue Plan money came to the township at a tune over a little over $400,000 over 2 years. Well, yeah, but 400. Yeah. At one point it was 600, and I don't know the exact number. I could get it, but it doesn't matter. And one of the trustees had input while he was running for office
Okay,
that a park was something that was desired in Morgan Township.
okay.
The reason being is this is a great place, but what's the one thing great places have that we don't? We don't have a park. Ross doesn't have a park either, but Hanover has a park, Hamilton County has a great park system. But you gotta drive there. And some people don't wanna drive there. So, and these roads, as I can tell you from the fire department, do not lend themselves for walking or recreating.
Right.
I'd run on them and I'm scared every time. I have a lady who walks out by me on California Road and she wears a yellow vest. Because she doesn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
So there's really no place to go. There's no place for children, moms to take a stroller or any safe, calming place or safe place or anything really. There's no, Morgan's got the only playground and that's used Monday through Friday with little, you don't want to go there if you have a toddler, you want someplace to go. And so the idea came that with this money, it's a one-time only thing. We're never going to get this money again. And they carved out some money for a park. The land is free. The land was donated when we bought this. The 14 acres was given to us with this. When they bought it, they said, you can't farm it, so take it. And it's just been sitting there. And with no real plan for it, and this all kind of came together, ARPA money, the park. Because all these grants you read, the first thing is how you going to get land. We got the land.
Right.
The land's expensive. We have that. It's how you maximize and make the best use. Now, it's not the most flat, and we learned about the 5% grade thing and all that. There's ways around it. And what the 5% is the gentleman from Metro Parks says you have to have a 5% grade or less on trails. So there's ways to do it, switchbacks, whatever. So the idea came is let's use this money one time and then chase grants and whatever and build a park system in Morgan Township. So that's kind of how it came about. And you know, the money, like I said, it's once in a lifetime. There's never going to be more ARPA money. There's grant money, there's NatureWorks money, there's grant donations you can chase, but this is a seed money that they blocked out to start a park, phase 1.
So we have 400 to start,
No, you have 150,000.
but I thought the 150 was out of the township money.
No, there's no township money involved in this. This is all ARPA money. The township has no reserves to fund a park. That's been the greatest sticking point. They've always wanted a park, but there's no money to do it because you have roads to do, you have other things that are priority also. This allows, the ARPA money allows for some roads to be done, but also there's enough left for this allocation for a park. I clear that up or I make it muddier?
You gave me the answer I needed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. But, you know, it's like I said, it's one time only, so they want to do it right. And then you could build other phases, and if, God forbid, there's other ARP money, which I doubt, but if there's grants or whatever, or donations, you can keep adding on thoughtfully and make it a whole thing. But it starts with, and the kind of thought was, what's the first thing everybody wants is a walking trail so people don't get killed on the roads. But if the public feedback that you get's different, that you're the park board, that's your decision.
Right.
And I'm just here to, you know, liaise that through, but it's whatever the feedback is that you get. Good question.
What was the question?
Who maintains the park?
Yeah. Besides the fire department, I'm gonna get on a tractor. That has not exactly been,
Is that Rob?
a finer pencil put on
Robbie.
it, to be honest with you. I think some thought is the current, road department. But I'm not a trustee and I can't make that decision, so, part of that, once the plan gets, they'll have to figure out the maintenance of it, because they don't know what they really need to maintain yet, because they don't know what you're getting. But I will tell you from other parks, I mean, you try to leave it, and Sandy will say, as much natural as possible, but, you know, you're gonna have cracks if you do a trail, and you're gonna have broken swings or whatever, so there has to be some thought to that too.
I'd like to address something you just said there. People don't want to walk on the roads, and they have to drive to parks to get there. How many people are going to walk to this park?
Oh, I don't know, that's y'all, I mean, I'm just saying,
Well, I'm just saying, you know, look at the housing in the area.
yeah.
3 houses there, and there's a couple behind us. Those are the only people that would walk here. The rest are going to be driving anyway.
Yeah, they
So,
are.
Just a point, I think.
But you're not driving, I don't have to drive all the way to Hamilton County to do it, I can come here and run.
That's
You
true.
know, I run 6 times a week, and I run on California and South Dwyer, and it's, or do I drive all the way to Hamilton County to run? You know what I mean? I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing, it's a chore for me to go all the way to Miami Whitewater to run, where I
How
can
far is
come
it?
here,
How far is it from your house to here?
2 miles,
2 miles? Okay.
2 point whatever,
Yeah.
but I would drive up here to run, I
Okay.
would do it all the time.
I'm just trying to make a point. that's
No,
all.
I get you, but
Yeah.
you know, as a resident, I would use it. You would see my shoes out there all the time.
Okay.
And I think you would see others. Now, you may not, that's y'all's decision, but I'll give you my input. I like
Right.
a running trail. I like somewhere safe I can run. I've been running for almost 35 years, and it's dangerous out here. I've been almost hit numerous times. Like I said, I see the lady with her big yellow vest on walking on California, 2 of them, and they've been walking it for years.
Right.
But my neighbors have a bunch of kids. They got no place for those kids to go. They running down our street. I have 12 houses and probably 16 kids in our little neighborhood. They have nowhere to go. I haven't asked them, but that's just me. I'll go back to my neutral liaison.
Just as a resident, with my kids growing up here, unfortunately had Miss Carol that knew all the parks around here. It was a chore to move everybody up, and they're
Yeah.
older now.
Yeah, I have
It'd be a benefit.
I have a 4 and 6-year-old, and yeah, it'd be awesome just to not have to go far,
My
because
babies were 3 and 1 when we moved here, and I added 2 more after that, and it was the youngest
And I use Governor Bev, I'm a big user of it, but you can't take a stroller on Governor Bev, it's trail running when I decide to trail run. It's beautiful, it's just not a, you know, it's a different use, but that's just me. Hope that answered all your questions.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I guess next steps, are all of the questions with the survey fine? Like, is there anything to add?
Do we need to make a motion to approve those, or?
I don't think so. Probably not.
Right. So then, in that case, I would say if everybody wants to, take a look at it outside of the meeting, digest it. If you have any thoughts or comments, just let us know. If you have any suggestions, any additional questions, anything that maybe should be removed, just let us know your thoughts.
Well, what's our main goal? What are we trying to gain from this? So I would like to.
This is, it's basically just an overview of a lot of survey questions.
Okay.
Again, coming from my background with
Mhm.
professional service projects. There was actually one before mine, because it's a long process for, it was for Union County, Indiana, to get something going, and a lot of these questions came from that initially. But also just looking at other things for grants and so forth. A lot of times you have to get into demographics and
Okay.
a lot of your reasons for it. So that's why there's questions about how often people use parks, memories, disabilities, and so on.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And then, yeah, like organizations that can help, just to give us an idea of who we can talk
Mhm.
to.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Thank you.
My vote would be the shorter the better.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
anytime I get something by
Mhm.
email, please take a survey, delete.
It's actually much shorter than it looks, but I agree. So if there's anything
and
you
sweet.
think of.
If you have a suggestion on,
How
if
to-
there's a question or a few questions that could be trimmed from this,
Okay.
maybe you could email that.
Yeah, like I said, when I take surveys, I just,
Yeah, no,
about 5,
I
and
get
I'm
it.
like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah,
I understand.
yep.
I got a question too, and I don't know if this would incorporate into the survey, but I think one of the biggest points is getting private funding was my idea. I just want to touch on that, maybe get input, just curious about the whole idea of private funding. If that, how we could reach this private funding, if it's possible, if it can be incorporated into this. Just, I mean, the name of the game here is money. You gotta have
Right.
money to be able to do
Ask the
anything.
question.
Yeah.
So, just wondering ideas on how, because obviously there's some people with a lot of money in this township.
Be easy
I
enough to
agree with that.
Say, would you?
Yeah, I
Service
like that
funding would
idea.
be
Just quick
somehow or another, figure out how we
quick
can get
million
it
Because
dollar.
done.
there is
Big deal.
people, I know people that have.
It'd be easy enough to say, would you as a private citizen
Would you like to?
Be willing to donate.
sponsor a tree or
Yeah.
the walking
Yeah.
path or the
just-
playground or whatever,
So how would you do that?
or
Just
just
by sending
donations.
letters out, or do you call these people, or you
That's-
knock on their door, or?
Could you add it to the
Yeah.
survey?
There's
Would
a
you be-
question at
Yeah.
the end.
The money's there,
Follow
how
up
do we
with you.
suck the money out of people?
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
there is millionaires in this township, like real
Well, I mean,
I'm not one of them.
That's
I'm not thinking they are, they're here.
What can you donate?
I think
I know
that's
that.
something
I
we
feel
could
like-
kind of put the word out at the Strawberry Festival too.
Well, yeah,
Soliciting donations.
definitely. And when we have, I think, something more solid,
Yeah.
something more, cohesive, and then we know what the township wants, I think at that point, that's where we could really
Right.
ask for that kind
Ask
of
for a
help.
type of thing.
that
It's a
you're-
little early for asking for.
Yeah. I think
donation
it's
now.
definitely easy once you say like, we have, this is what we come up with, this is phase 1, we want to put in a walking trail. Phase 2 is going to be a playground, and if you want to help us with phase 2 and move the
need
process along, this is your opportunity to make a difference, or like, whatever, like, phase 5 is this, but if you want to sponsor phase 5,
And I'm
Here we go.
hoping during this information gathering, gathering the public's information, I'm hoping that some of us come to learn of these kinds of opportunities that you're talking about. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's passionate about something
Yep.
that, and they maybe just want to give money, throw money at it. And then we can rally behind that.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we've answered your question about do we move forward with an RFP? Do we move forward?
I think that's fine for now.
Yeah,
It sounds like we have a plan. We'll just try to get public feedback, get somebody to help us with the data, and take all of that, put it together, and then figure the rest out as we go. Because, yeah, we'll need that data for engineering, for sure.
No, I did make enough copies if you wanted to pass
Oh,
those
okay.
out, just,
I did not know that.
yeah.
So what is
Get
this?
an idea.
What is this service exactly?
This is just a preliminary estimate that I had access to, getting someone to prepare this, what the trail would cost,
Okay.
the total cost of the trail. Right now with the figures that are out there.
I guess unrelated but unrelated. You were talking a $4,500
That would
quote.
be-
What was that? Just curious what that service was.
That would be to hire an engineering company or someone to prepare the preliminary plan or the concept plan.
Okay.
That would show all the phases on it. That
Okay.
Eventually, you're gonna have to submit somewhere to get approved.
So
And-
that's one of those things that could be covered with the, if we had a Miami student, for example, to help assist us, where we could defer that cost to something else, and then use that money later on for actual, engineering service.
Well, it depends. If you have to have a stamp plan, I don't think an engineering firm, you can't just take what a Miami student did and have an engineering company put their stamp on it.
Right, but they don't need to be involved in the phasing, I guess. The engineering company doesn't need to be involved in developing phasing. Obviously, they need to come out and look at the ground and, do water table stuff and figure out what the pavement looks like, but they don't necessarily need to tell us, you should build a 30-foot archway in the front or whatever, right?
I don't see how you could have an idea of what, until you have a plan,
Yeah.
you're right, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
That's like trying to build a car when you don't know what you're gonna, what
Right.
engine you're gonna put in it.
Right.
I think you gotta have a plan, whatever that takes. I think that's what they all told you in your interview, was come up with a comprehensive plan and then make the phases and then go from there. I think anything else would be,
Yeah, I guess it's up to the engineering firm, like how much they would need, like if work from Miami would work, or because my understanding was sometimes you can get students to help and then they'll just change it as needed to meet specific requirements and so forth.
Right.
But they do a lot of the legwork, so there's less to do up front, but I guess that'd be something to discuss too, to
Right.
figure out what they would need, what's acceptable.
Right.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's just something we'd be, I was thinking engineering-wise and design was in the 20,000 range of, what you were saying before, and no point in paying double for,
Yeah.
half of a plan or whatever.
Yeah, that was my thought too, if they can at least get some of the initial work done.
Yeah.
But we'll see if anybody's interested, and then
Right.
if not, have
Big
a
if.
backup plan.
Just a question on it, your pavement, you're saying 4 inches, 403 asphalt, it's 4,000 feet, is it 10 feet wide by 4 inches deep?
Please, I'm sorry.
Under the pavement section, you got 4 inches, 403 asphalt concrete walking trail, and the last is 4,000 feet by, is it 10 feet wide by 4 inches thick?
I am not sure what that number means. I could find out and let you guys know.
Yeah, that would be
I
very
don't know
helpful.
if that's something
I think it's-
different.
Just ballparking. I think it does. 10 foot, 5 foot, 5 foot each way. I mean, that's probably realistic.
I don't think we're on these trails that wide.
You don't think so?
But it would be nice if you have
Yeah, it would be
strollers and
nice.
I
bikes
was
and
gonna say,
rollerblades and
you
whatnot on
have
there.
to make it ADA approved, right?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
that was
And I think
something,
that's what
yeah.
these numbers are.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you're using federal money, so all federal regulations must be,
Right, so
including ADA.
I'm very confident that these.
That's ADA compliant, because most
Yes.
companies are gonna bid as ADA compliant, because why would you do not? Because you're gonna have to do it anyway, but
Right.
federal laws apply to this, including, bidding it out and the whole thing.
Right,
Everything that I'm sure they do at your company applies when we go to ARP this, or, I mean, when you go to send out requests for proposal, RFPs or whatever.
Including prevailing wage, it will have to be prevailing wage.
right, yeah, it's on, I
Yeah.
noted that
Yeah.
on the back too,
Yeah, I
yeah.
saw that.
These were just the current costs
Yeah.
Sure.
right now, and
That is
who's to say
correct.
that they're not gonna go up like everything else is going up right
Right.
now, so. But that, these were the current pricing for asphalt and all the other stuff.
Okay, so this was for just the walking trail, or does this include like phasing everything too, like doing,
This is just strictly for the walking trail.
okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought, just verifying.
Yes, yeah, that's fine.
Seems about reasonable.
And I will say, as far as playgrounds, just in very quick research, it looks like there are some grants out there if you're doing things for like autism or other disabilities. I think some local playground companies might help with some of that too, and trying to find money for it. And as Jeff said, and other people have said, there's a massive need here for a playground, especially if it was ADA compliant, because like Morgan's isn't at all. And so there's a lot of kids out here that don't really have a place to play safely. That's something else to look into too. Maybe there's some other funds available for playgrounds.
And those would require a park master plan, or some would, some wouldn't.
That's a good question. I had somebody email me that I'm supposed to call back, so I can work on calling people and ask those questions.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning this as I go, for sure.
Cool.
So yes, does anybody have questions about what to do for Strawberry Festival or anything else moving forward?
Are we gonna have another meeting before it?
If two of
If
us,
that
if two of
would
us
be
or the
good.
chair or the vice chair request it, we can
Yeah.
schedule a second meeting. So
Yeah,
I would
request
be one, okay.
Yeah.
So before that second meeting, then, we would need to have whatever pamphlets and all that stuff prepared, so we know what we're passing out or discussing or whatever at the Strawberry Festival
We can
with
do
the
that.
public.
I can draft one or.
Okay.
Yeah, you
so
guys
if
can
wants
feel free to
volunteer,
use that
draft
email
something.
group for work, not
Yeah.
sitting in this meeting. You all get it, you're all in it, so you can virtually meet or do whatever. If you need a Zoom meeting, I can set one up. We have a Zoom account. I can get you whatever you need.
Okay, that's good. Sounds like just need some kind of a overview of a map, some kind of a flyer. I'd say probably the biggest thing is just being there, honestly, just to talk
Yeah.
to people.
And then we would have a big banner of some sort in there also.
Yeah.
Would the banner be what would be on the flyers, or would that be something else on the banner?
That's a good question. What would we want on it? What do you think people would want to see?
I'm just saying, I'm questioning
Well,
what
like-
we would put on
yeah.
there, and if it's the same thing as what we're passing out, just to.
Yep, I don't know at the moment. What are everybody's thoughts? What should go into the?
I mean, I think it would just be
Flyer.
easy enough to have something like that with a picture of the ground, just blank space, not even what we have drawn out, not to set expectations or deflate expectations, but just have like land and say, we want to this is what we own, like this is what the township owns, and we were thinking about a trail here, and everybody, you can walk up to and just say, do a doodle with your finger, or say like, we got a blank space, this is where it's going to be, and then just have like the QR code right next to it, and just say, if you want to put anything in it, just scan the QR code, fill that out. But I also have a notebook. Just
fill it out for you.
let me.
I can check.
Well, I think if you want to get surveys, just have them fill them out online. It's easy enough. I mean, 90% of people have a smartphone in their pocket, so it's enough just to hit it, and they can fill it out while they're in the bathroom. But then just have a notebook, and if somebody says like, I have a great idea, we should put up a free use climbing wall, like rock climbing wall. Like, okay, well, let me write that down, and then you can put that, and that's all I think we would need on a banner, is just say, new potential something, Morgan Township Park. This is where it's going to be. If you want to give us feedback, scan this code, and just keep it simple. Nothing.
The Secretary too can produce those,
Okay.
because those were produced by OKI.
Yeah.
We are going to be purchasing the stand, not those stands, but new stands, so that we can use those banners and look.
Yeah.
Anything you guys will need.
Yeah, that'd be great. Do you know with maybe you would know best, with the QR code? I know sometimes they change if you don't pay for it or there's an expiration or something.
I can get you a QR code off of the survey.
Okay, I just know
That only costs the township yearly.
Yeah, I know we've made them before where I work for surveys, or like if you need resources after you experience this kind of event, and people will scan it, and it's a dead link because they only got the free 2-week access or whatever it was.
Yeah,
I don't know how, like.
A year.
Okay.
A year, and it's up in June, but I'll have it renewed before.
Okay, yeah, that would be fantastic if we could get a link that would take them directly to the survey.
Or we have like some tablets, or do you guys have like a
Yeah, that'd be a
laptop
great
that
idea,
somebody
but-
could, do it right there? Because I'm just thinking, some
Yeah,
people,
for
they
sure.
don't
For
all
sure,
have
for sure.
smartphones. Some
Yeah.
people don't, right?
You can do it on your phone.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. That's
Right.
right.
But
Everybody's
But I
got
think,
their phone.
I think Debbie's point was, some people don't have smartphones, and they might not have a lot,
Yeah.
if they
And-
don't have access at home, they could fill it
Right.
out.
Yeah, if they don't have it, I mean, we can say, all right, well, here's the questions. Why don't you just tell me, and I'll fill one out for you on paper.
Okay.
Like for like the 5 people that
yeah,
it's easy enough just to write. For the small group that doesn't, I mean, that's easy enough.
Are we going to be open to inviting people to come up and walk the property?
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah.
How's the township
allowed
feel
to?
about that?
Sure, it's their property.
Okay.
It's,
So I just think of liability and things like
You're
that.
right, yeah.
no, I mean, there's been some trails cut through it.
Okay.
Yeah. Just warn them it's undeveloped.
It's undeveloped, but they're welcome to come walk it. I mean, he cut some trails for that reason, and that's not saying that that's how it has to go. It's just some access for the intent of that.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Open secret kind of thing.
so is the
Don't publish it,
Strawberry
but this-
Festival booth gonna take place of the public meeting? I know we had discussed about having a public meeting. Is that gonna take,
I feel like this is just initial information, and then probably we'll want like a full public meeting, because to get the other people that weren't there, or
okay.
as we get things more finalized.
You also have St. Al's August Fall Festival too, that you can get survey funds, and wait for your summer festival and then fall festival. So it's not land use it. We used this summer. Yeah. there's
Chicken
also-
dinner?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you go to church.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe, it sounds like we're gonna have a lot of opportunities, so maybe we don't have to have like a full,
Yeah, it's better to go to them than them come to you.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
You all do what you want,
Yeah.
but,
That's
I mean, you got 3 here,
sense.
and that's great. And I put it on Facebook and everywhere. And we had 3 at the other one, but I think you gotta go to them,
We got some great opportunities to field.
of mostly locals,
Yeah,
of
field
mostly
information
residents.
from people who are going to be involved, and then take those ideas and rank them and say, this is what makes the most sense for everybody. And then if we still want to have a public meeting after we develop our concept and say, this is what we have, tear it to pieces. You know, this is your public chance to tear it to shreds, or you know, tell us we did a great job, or you know, you can.
You'll get,
Pound
in
salt.
September, you'll get a ton of people at the fire department open house.
Yeah.
You'll get a ton.
Yeah, I think we got a decent amount of opportunities to field those kind of questions from people, and then before we nail it down, to say, you know, if you got a problem with it, come say it now. This is your shot.
What is the date in September for the,
September 17th.
okay.
And you can have as big as booth as you want. You can have the whole back apron if you want, I don't care. 'Cause we had to cut it down from our input just because of staffing, so we don't have as many activities as we did before, so there's all kinds of space.
Chief is right. If none of you have ever attended, we do have a couple thousand people come to this. It's amazing.
That's great.
The people from our community that come out and, you know, see what we're doing, what the fire department's doing, see what's going on in our community. So that's an excellent spot.
And we haven't had one in 2 years, so
Yeah.
we're thinking it's gonna be pretty big.
Yeah, they come for the free hot dogs that Lenore and I make, so, you know.
That's how it is.
But-
That's how it is in ours too. It's like, where's the chili?
Yeah.
Hey, well,
Not that
they-
good.
All the people to come
They
to
really-
our booth, to list, or to even see what we are trying to do? Would we need to have some type of little attraction or game for the kids or something?
Yeah,
Certainly.
I
get
could,
'em-
I could come up with some coloring pages, and I have two
Yeah.
little kids. I'm sure
Sounds
they
great.
provide their feedback too on what they'd like to see.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard to compete with fire trucks, just telling you.
True.
So then maybe we need to be right next to the fire trucks.
We'll put you wherever you want, it don't matter.
We could be in the
Will they have to walk by us or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
We can find a place that give you the biggest exposure.
Okay.
And I guess the plan will be to get as much of a concept plan together as we can before September, because that'll be, sounds like a much bigger event.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I guess for survey, just keep it ongoing for the moment, online survey, and then as we need to change questions or something.
Well, if you finalize it, then get it to Dale,
Yep.
and he could do it and get you a QR code, and then we can start putting it on Facebook and on the website. Once you guys get it, Dale's a wizard with that. He's the administrator of it, so as long as you're willing, Dale, which I think we appreciate it.
I mean, I'll help this township in any way.
Yeah, so, and the township owns it, so you guys get it together, get it to Dale, he'll build the QR code, and then we'll have it out. We'll start blowing it out whenever you guys,
Send it to zoning@morgantownship.org.
Okay.
yeah, he has a different email address than mine, so.
Not so hard.
It's TWPFD, jeez, oh, Pete. Why people struggle with that.
Straight Morgan Township.
Jeff, I assume that you're the administrator of the Morgan Township page that was on Facebook today that said there was a meeting.
Yes,
And you had lots of likes,
yeah,
but there's three of us.
right, exactly. Believe it or not, I have a lot of followers on that Facebook page. I see the insights, I really do,
It was the same way with land use. I
But-
mean, we got lots of likes and lots
Yeah.
of shares.
get lots of, yeah.
It's
Mine's fully shareable, likable, commentable, you can nail me with it, you can do whatever. Yeah, but it's shareable, and I'll put anything on there, and as, you know, I hope to tell the story as you guys develop it, to get it out there.
But yeah, there are some decent pathways. I was here with my kids yesterday, and it was fine. My son ran off like crazy, but it was still pretty safe, I feel like. So yeah, tell people to come out.
Yeah.
The only issues I could see is maybe at the bottom where there's like water, like drainage down here. I could see some issues, but that's easy to avoid.
yeah.
What's the distance of this trail? Is it even a mile?
It'd
I thought
be-
somebody said it was just under a mile.
Okay.
Yeah.
You all gotta decide that.
4,000 feet.
Yeah.
We need
Throw
a
a switch
mile.
back in there, we make it a mile.
Yeah, we gotta have a mile.
At least
I know
that's
when the
what's
gentleman
initially
from
planned.
Butler County Metro Parks first looked at it, you know, I know that's what they do for a living, but he's like, it's 4,600, he just looked at the dimensions of that and said it's 4,600 some feet. I'm like, wow, but that's his job. So I get that. I mean, you know that, I'm like, I don't know, you're smart people, but that's what he does. You ask me how much hose to lay, I can tell you that, but he could tell. So he knew it right away that it was, like at a mile was the maximum amount you could get out of that piece of property. Even with double backs and redundancies.
Should we done?
Does anybody else have anything they want to discuss,
Not to
talk about?
not to derail the conversation, but just to bring a little bit of levity, what does everybody want to see in this park? And that's kind of what I've been curious to know. Like, I mean, I have ideas what I would like to see, but that doesn't necessarily align with what everybody else is. So I didn't know if I wanted to go around the room real quick and just say like,
Yeah, I think that was on here. Yeah, discuss and draft park ideas.
yeah,
Yeah, you do have that. How would you like, when you say how would you like to use, I propose as being a former English teacher, you say, how would you use?
No.
we'll leave the grammatical errors up to you when you write the survey.
You wonder how I got into zoning.
Yeah,
I joined the zoning commission, that was it.
it's human spell check.
Yeah, well, I joined because I could write, that was part of the reason why they chose me.
Well, Jake, you go first.
Yeah, I'll go first anyway. So for me, I think a walking trail is a really great idea. I don't necessarily know that the entire thing needs to be in pavement. I might be kind of counter-thought of everybody else, but if we just, I mean, this is just me thinking, the top part is paved, you know, we could save a ton of money and do either just a gravel or a wood chip trail around and still get what we want and then make extending the pavement like a phase 2. And then obviously a playground, I think that's a really good idea. And then long term, I know in my interview they discussed having an amphitheater, and I thought that was a phenomenal idea. So I think those are probably my 3 like big ones, or like my vision would be those 3 things, and then from there like whatever else kind of comes. The one thing I don't like is athletic fields, because like you touched on early in the meeting, there's a lot of unused athletic fields, and it has got to be, I'm just guessing here, extremely expensive to maintain a field like that, because it's not just grass. I mean, you have to have an athletic turf, you have to spray for weeds, you have to mow it down, you have to paint lines, anything like that, just to keep a field that may or may not be used. So that's my probably like my 3 likes and a dislike.
And what he also said, there's no place to put it that's
Yeah,
in the right.
there's not enough space for a soccer field.
Well,
out
and
there, for
even
sure.
that, there's not even if you put one in there, and I didn't
that's a good
realize this until we met with him. It's all about where the sun sets.
Yeah.
They'd be in the wrong position for sun. I had no idea that even goes into a park planner's mind,
Right.
but the orientation of the sun goes in, and these would be wrong. Just
Yeah.
I had no idea.
That's
But
interesting.
also, the amphitheater technically is in the wrong place too, but you can deal with that, he said.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the patrons looking to the west.
Yeah, into the sun.
I had no idea.
Right. Makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
But he said you can work around that. That amphitheater was workable, the fields were not. But not to say you couldn't do it, but the sun will be in the wrong place.
Mhm.
Okay, I agree with Jake. I think, the walking trail is going to get a lot of traffic through here, because we have a lot of people, as Chief said, that like to get out and walk, and they don't want to travel far to do it. And I agree, I'm one of those. I think a playground is important, but I think shelters are also important. I know the ones at Hanover Township at their park are reserved every weekend. And that would create a little bit of revenue for the township to help with the maintenance of the park. And an amphitheater down the road, I think too, is an awesome idea. I know Chief Galloway and I did some research on that several years ago, and it was just, at the time, there was no money. It was way cost prohibitive, but we even talked about doing that and having a movie night and food trucks and all kinds of things, and make it a big community event. So that's kind of what I see.
I'm interested in the walking trail. I was a runner, I'm not so much anymore, but it is what it is. But that's my interest, is the walking trail.
I'm gonna say I agree, the walking trail, no doubt. And then I was gonna say number 2 as a playground, but I like the idea of the shelters. It seems like they can pay for themselves. I think that's important. Might have to forego and say that's number 2 and the playground number 3.
For me, playground. I've got 3 kids. You know, they love going to the playground. Yeah, also very important are picnic shelters. We love our family, our extended family loves to we go to Heritage Park and rent out that shelter quite frequently. We go down to Miami Whitewater, other locations too, and I could see shelters being used every weekend. And also, I'm going to make a big push for shade trees. I can't stand going to a park and there's no shade anywhere. So we're going to have some shade trees somewhere in this park, maybe.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything everybody said. I know for me, trees are definitely important. Trails important, playground for sure. But yeah, I can totally see doing shelters in this earlier phase for sure. And that, they may not really even take that much to do too, so that makes sense. What about you?
I am totally all for the trail, but it needs to be paved because there are people in the community that have special needs children, grandchildren. If they want to walk that trail for their exercise, walking on gravel is not going to be the answer. Then I would say the playground, and then the shelter.
Okay.
I'm for the trail as well. I like the trail idea. The shelters, I like the amphitheater, the playground. I was wondering though, we didn't mention restrooms or anything like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's good.
can the building be open for that?
The idea.
Or what was that
Well,
thought?
if you go to other parks, there is a company in the township that has porta pots. And maybe you put 2 of those and build a
Right.
privacy fence around it as a
Okay.
start before you get to pit toilets.
Right, okay,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that has to be part of your plan.
right, yeah.
For that to happen.
Okay.
But I think in somebody's interview, we brought that up. I don't know, but anyway. That would probably be a start. And then if you got phase 2, you could get pit toilets, because I think Heritage has pit toilets, don't they? I'm pretty sure Heritage Park has them.
What
think
does Governor Bev
I
have?
think Whitewater
Governor
does.
Bev has pit toilets down at the campground.
But then up top, they got 2
They've
porta
got
pot.
porta pots up
Yeah,
at top.
2 up top and then
There's one
down
at the parking
below.
lot by the shelter.
Right.
And then there's one down by the little village.
Correct.
So they just built a little privacy fence around it. And so that has to be, I think that probably has to be part of your
Plan.
idea.
Okay.
It'd be mine, but y'all,
No, I think you
Well,
definitely have to have a restroom of some sort.
yeah.
Yeah, unless you just
I
let them
agree
go in
too.
the weeds.
Sometimes them diapers need changed. Well, diapers.
Well,
can be
diapers
anywhere.
are easy.
Diapers can be
Put
in
them on a
anywhere.
table.
Okay. It sounds like overall we all went similar things.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we need to cover or forgot or? I guess when to meet and how to meet. I don't know. Let's see, June 11th would be.
Are you talking about for the Strawberry Festival?
Yep.
Okay.
So maybe, would 2 weeks be ahead be too soon? Or do you want like a week ahead of time to go over things?
Well, how much time do they need to make flyers and that kind of stuff? Or the scan and that type of thing? Or is that all gonna be decided amongst emails?
I feel like that's probably an email thing in many ways. I've made posters and stuff before too, so I can
Okay.
do that if needed.
Yeah, and I'll get you the credit card. Just let me know, and I'll give you the card. I just gotta have the receipt. That's all I
Okay.
ask, because I'll be in trouble.
Yep, that's-
But
that's
I
no
can get you the
problem.
credit card number to make those purchases.
Okay.
So if Tuesdays work for everybody, there's Tuesday the 24th and Tuesday the 31st.
That's
The 31st would be a week and a half before the Strawberry Festival.
the day after Memorial Day weekend. But,
But it would be the Tuesday after,
yeah.
yeah.
I think the 24th would be probably better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
2 weeks.
Probably.
I'm checking the calendar of this room's availability, and there's nothing here on the 24th. That's on the calendar. Tuesdays are pretty open. You don't have anything. Yeah, you don't have anything, and so the 24th.
Yeah, my zoning commission met for the last Wednesday. So the BZA, and I don't have another BZA.
Yeah,
here.
24th, the 24th, this building is open.
I'm used to taking the day off.
So this building's taken on the 24th?
No, it's open.
Oh, it's open.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
open.
Did somebody say something, Tim, did you say, or
I'm good with that.
whether the 24th or the 31st would be better?
It was a good idea.
Okay.
Split the difference between
Yeah, I
two
think
and
the day after Labor Day, people might be out of town still,
Okay.
for those people that are retired and get to have long weekends and that type of stuff, so.
Okay,
Makes
let's
sense.
do Tuesday the 24th. 7
7
o'clock
p.m.
work for everybody?
You can thank me later.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll just call that a work session.
Okay.
For-
7 o'clock
It has to be in some term, we'll call it a work session.
Okay.
workshop.
And then have flyers and a big poster together. And I'll probably do emails on ideas for that. I guess what kind of imagery would we want for that? I can talk to Butler County to get, I guess, something more professional looking than this.
I feel like just like a Google Maps screen captures plenty, or if somebody has a better, just a,
Something with an outline of the property.
Yeah.
But I do think it would be good to have the topography lines on there just so that we can talk to people about the difference in terrain, have that visual. Because that's going to be a big part of this and how it's developed. And yeah, because when you look at it, if you were to look at this without any of the trail or the fields, it would just look like a big space, and you can see the creek a little bit, but you can't really visually appreciate the difference in elevation. So if we could have the lines, the elevation lines on there too, I think that would be helpful.
And I could check to see how much time it would be, if it's just, we do Cages maps often at the office, that maybe if it's like a 10, 15-minute job, maybe they could do it, and then I can maybe send you an email of it. But we just basically want a Cages map showing everything that's on here, but just the topo and then the way the land is. We don't want all the other stuff on it, right?
Yeah, I'd say just basic.
A GIS of the property.
Yeah, just very basic.
Okay.
Yeah, this is soil, so probably just something like this, but with topography instead.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just for reference, there's a soils map in here, so that gives you your slopes, and the biggest slope is this area.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
where you'll have your issues with ADA accessibility. Everything else is pretty open. But,
Yeah, I can check and hopefully get you an answer by the end of the week.
okay, perfect. Here's anything else?
that QR, we get a QR code for the survey to put on the sign.
Yeah, that's what Dale said, we could get a QR
Those two
code.
things.
Yeah, as soon as you get the survey to Dale, get the QR code, and he can get it back to you.
Okay.
Perfect.
The other kind of comes straight off of the survey. Everything else, all I do is hit the QR code and you can see what you know.
Okay, perfect.
That's why Amy did with this one. So, my
Okay. And I guess talk to Signery too to get them
yeah,
produced.
they do the banners like this now, but OKI is them for us because we're our facilitator in the land use piece.
Okay.
If you don't know, that's Ohio, like Indiana Transportation Group, or he does for around the world. They also facilitate land use planning.
You good?
Pretty good.
Okay.
Okay, then you just need a motion to adjourn, and you'll be out of here.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Are you gonna be?
So Sandra, we're just wanting this, what's right here.
We need to have, we're gonna,
I think,
So,
like I said, let me double check, but I think it would be,
Where computer saves, so if you guys want the minutes in, I'll just put a note that you can insert for your bylaws, that one of you can insert the bylaws there.
Okay.
If you're gonna make changes